The socialists are winning because they're talking to the voters and politicians' heart. As long as we talk to people's minds, we will continue to lose in shaping the country and our future. Toastmasters provides a learning lab where we can practice and learn safely before going out to share our message to people's hearts. But to be effective in this lab, we must avail ourselves of its facilities. Toastmasters cannot work unless we aggressively apply the program. It is an individual, personal program where each one of you structures what you want, need, and pursue. Please help me in welcoming Hugh Curley. Title of the speech, Toastmasters, Reaching a Heart. Hugh Curley.
Fellow Toastmasters and Dick, picture with me, if you would please, a 4-year-old girl named Mary Ann is crying in her bed because she hasn't gotten enough to eat for the past couple of weeks. She's malnourished, and she's hungry. Her mother, who works in a fast food place at minimum wage, cannot afford to pay the rent, to buy the clothes, to buy the food, and other things that are necessary. And her father, who was a very good provider, was working for a company where the owners of the company got caught in some illegal activities, and the company was shut down. He lost his job and is not able to find another one. Now, he believes very strongly in the parents' responsibility to provide for the children. He believes very strongly in the husband's responsibility to provide for the wife. And he can't get a job. So in order to get food, he took the only route that he could see to get food and was arrested for stealing and ended up in jail. And in jail, of course, he doesn't make any money. Can you picture the anguish that Mary Ann is experiencing there? It is not her fault, and she is hungry. Do you see what she is? Can you picture her in your mind? And that is why the socialists are winning. Because they touch the heart with their stories. Now, as I look around this room right here, I see that we are a very smart group of people. I'll bet that if we were to average out the IQ of all of us, it would turn out to be well over the 100 average. If we were to take a look at the college education that we have, it would probably turn out to be greater than, on an average, greater than a bachelor's degree. We are smart. We know that socialism is not sustainable. Margaret Thatcher said, socialism is a great program until you run out of other people's money. We know that socialism has been tried and failed in Japan, Germany, Argentina, England, France, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, and now Greece, and a lot more. And it has been tried in those and it's failed, and we know that. We know that it's a good idea if our neighbor is in a tight spot, that we help him out for a short period of time. And that's very admirable, because we know we are going to be in that same type of a spot in our lifetime. But we also know that when the government gets involved in it, that it's going to turn out to be 3 or 4 generations of prison of welfare. We know all of this. And that's why we're losing. Because knowing is in the head. People vote with their hearts. So we have to put together some stories that touch the heart, and tell those stories. And we can do it. Let's take a look at one story, for instance. United States versus the USSR during the time of the Cold War. Both very large countries. Both very, very technically and engineering excellent. Both of them are leaders in the space race. Both of them are undisputed world leaders, powerful. Both of them have nearly unlimited natural resources. And then along came Reagan, and started Star Wars. And as the Soviet Union tried to keep up with the United States' spending on Star Wars, they couldn't do it, and the Soviet Union was dissolved. Now, what was the difference between those two countries? I think it was capitalism versus socialism. Now, we can develop that story and make that point, if that's what we wanted to do, but probably it wouldn't work, because it's still in the head. People don't identify with countries. They identify with people. So let's go to a more modern one. Greece, up to date. And let's bring in an individual, Achilles. He has been working all of his life, paying high taxes into their system for Social Security, saving up a little bit of money, and he's now retired. He's been retired for several years. And he's afraid he's going to lose it all because Greece is going to be forced to cut back on their payments in order to get more bailouts. That's probably a stronger story. But even a stronger one than that would be one that is personal. Now, I spent a year in England. And when I got there, they were widening a 2-mile stretch of 2-lane highway, rural highway. When I left, a year later, they were still widening that. Also, I met a friend over there, English bloke named Kevin, and we talked about economic situation, the countries, the world peace, all those subjects that you talk about over a year's period. And he pointed out that it's his job to get to work. It's the company's job to make him do something once he gets there. He also told me about the taxes that he has to pay and the possibilities of promotion, which are almost non-existent. Very much disincentives to try to do better. He can't get fired. And if he did, he would just go on the dole. It doesn't matter to him whether he's fired or not. What can we do in a situation like this? How can we develop our stories where we can prepare, personalize, and practice? And the answer to that is Toastmasters. Toastmasters provides that self-directed learning lab where you can actually go in and work at your speed to accomplish your goals. But it won't work unless you make it work. Aggressively make it work. What I would suggest is that you schedule 3 meetings as a speaker, 3 consecutive meetings as a speaker. You go into the first one with your speech, and you give your speech, trying to touch the hearts of the listeners there. And you get your feedback. You get written feedback. You get the prepared oral feedback. You talk to people after the meeting and get feedback. And then you put that speech together again, and you give it the second time, and you get feedback. And you put it together again, and you do it the third time. And by then, without getting Pexifian, we don't want to do that because that would destroy all that we had worked for. You are going to be able to go out and go head to head, or better yet, heart to heart, against those socialists. That you will be able to win because even though you both are working with the heart, you have the greater logic, the greater intelligence, and the Toastmasters program behind you to be successful. Let's go, Liberty Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you.